Hey guys, I'm a little late, but I'm ready now to share with you what the third part of the personal development story is. And this one is about what life is through the perspective and viewpoint of the third eye. So many of you might be interested what the third eye is, why are some people so excited about it. This is going to be a video of what I learned and some of my experiences of what having it activated every day for 3 months actually did for me. And to be fair, these are one of the most amazing moments in my life. They were the most expressive, free and fun moments in my life. I really came out of my comfort zone, and it really changed my perspective and helped me understand that things can be easy. Now, I don't remember if I mentioned in the previous video in part 2 that I went to a lot of cogitality seminars. So I did, and I continued to go. That specific year, before the story that I'm going to tell you, so a little backstory of what happened, is that the summer of 1 year, I don't remember which one it was, I actually made a huge mistake by isolating myself and focusing on my personal development, on meditations, channeling, information, and myself in general, finding my own answers without any regard to the environment around me. I wasn't really interested what was happening around me. I just wanted to get the information. And I isolated myself to such an extent that I had cut off my connections with friends, and I hardly saw my family. Now, I only saw my mother every day because I lived with her, but every other part of my family I saw when necessary or when there was some specific work that needed to be done. After that, I actually started the next semester enthusiastic and ready to tell everybody the story, to share with them, etc. Everything that I had learned through meditations and channelings, but I learned that it was harder and I wasn't prepared. So that kind of broke me, and I fell apart. I really did fall apart because I didn't know what to do, and they aren't the people that are the collective in my university weren't really that interested in what's that perspective of life represents. So it was really hard for me, and I broke down. After which I closed myself off, and I entered close to a depressive state. It's not really a depressive state, I'm not sure how to express it, nor in Bulgarian, mind you, it's not the loss of words this time. I'm just not sure how to express it, but I closed myself off, and I turned again to cogitality seminars. I hadn't gone for maybe like 4, maybe 5 months, and I started going to seminars again, this time looking for more answers than before. And that's actually interesting because you actually start understanding what seminars tell you when you actually start applying the information that's provided. But again, due to your experiences, you actually have more questions. So it's a never-ending process of learning. You always have something. Now, I started going to the seminars, and I continued to go frequently for the next 5 to 6 months, I think. I'm not sure how long it was. That I don't really mark everything precisely, so I'm not sure when and what the time period of something is, but it's somewhere in between 5 or 6 months. and I saw what are the good things that I did and what are the bad things that I did. I have managed to find answers regarding what was wrong and right, what was good and bad. It's always a subjective perspective of what's good or bad, but still specifically for what I was looking and what I thought was right at that time, I actually got some answers in that regard. And actually at one point I asked myself, do I actually understand what the information provided in the seminars is? And when I asked myself that, the honest question was that I don't think I do. And the second answer was that it would be best if I check for myself, because my thought process was that I have to learn to produce the mindset, the thoughts, the connections that are presented in the seminar on my own, so that I can actually manifest a change in my life. Because if I just rely on somebody else to do it for me, like Liubo, who's the lecturer in the seminars, that means that I'm dependent, and that means that I'm not actually learning something. I'm leaning on him. I'm not doing the things that I should be doing, or learning them, or experiencing them for that matter. So I decided to stop going to the seminars and see if I can project those ideas myself. And a very important moment was that I actually had a conversation with Liubo that helped me understand that it's high time that I changed, and or what I had to change, and make a firm decision. So the decision was about devoting myself to the environment and working to its benefit. And because I was afraid that I was going to close myself off into the meditating and whatnot, I didn't know what to do, but I knew that I had to do something that has a direct connection, direct line to the environment. And the first thought that came to my mind, which is going to work in that direction, is to share ideas, give solutions, in something, just in any regular conversation. I would attempt to provide a solution or an idea that may help the people that are around me, regardless of how it helps them, just so that they can hear the idea and decide for themselves if they want to use it. So it's practically talking. That's it. That was the choice. And for me, I knew that in order to have the right solution, I needed to have a connection with the source. And there is from cogitality, I knew that there is a way to have a constant connection with the source and always pull information from there. And so, and I also had some experience with meditations. I've experienced it when I made some lectures, which is why I was confident that I could do it. But every morning, until it became a habit for me, when I got out of bed, I reminded myself to enter that state. And it was very fast, to be fair. I just needed to remind myself to actually generate the appropriate amount of energy throughout my body, so that I can activate my pineal glands, which is the third eye. And little by little, every day became more exciting. Also, one of the most focused ideas was that I had to do before I think. This is another concept that is given in cogitality, because if we start thinking about doing something, we are used to overthinking it, and we close ourselves in the thought process where we don't actually produce anything. So I started doing that, just blurting out the ideas, telling them without any concern of what somebody might think of me. I was always going to attempt to be more clear so that I can be understood, but there was always something. And the part that always pissed me off was that I always found mistakes. I didn't do anything right. I always had mistakes. I always had to fix something after I do something, and that drove me crazy. And then it really did drive me crazy. Now I know it's that just we always have a 50% positive and negative effect. It's really about managing both. That's really it. And I was attempting to do it because I was decisive on continuing on that path. The bad news is that at one moment I broke because I thought that I didn't do the job right. I didn't do what I set out to do right. I actually cut myself off because I thought that I did it wrong, which wasn't the case. I was actually making a mistake, just another mistake, which is experience. Everything is experience. But I really started experiencing everything more impulsively and on an emotional level, and sometimes I lost perspective. So that's what actually happened, and that's how I broke again. It wasn't really breaking, I just quit. Yeah, let's say quit. Or I was ready to quit. I didn't really want to quit, I just didn't know what to do. Now I know where my mistakes are. It was that I was thinking that the environment has to change, specific expectations. That's really, my expectations were the thing that were killing me. Not killing me in a literal way, but just so that you understand what I mean. But as it happens, I went to another seminar, and there I actually changed all my decisions and reverted them and turned them around and continued on forward. It was really something like a charger, something to help me realize what I actually want to do and what can be done. So I continued for another a while. I continued for a while. I renewed my efforts, and it was better. It was easier. I was more confident because I understood that I was just looking on the negative side of everything instead of looking on both sides, like the positive effect instead of just the negative effect. So that really helped me, and it charged me a lot. So I continued working in that manner. Again, with talking, I didn't really have a better idea what to do. I had a motivation now to write a book, but I did write it. I'm just not happy with the content, which is why I'm not looking to publish it. I will have to do something better, then I will publish it. But during that time, I actually became more emotional, more open, more accepting, more joyful. I experienced a lot of joy and happiness. It really changed my life that period, and it helped me see that the impossible is just our current perspective on something that is possible, but we're looking through a different impossible filter. And so I understood that everything is just a matter of how you look at it and how you do it. Because if you look at it from an impossible point of view, you're always going to work in the manner that represents that logic, so that it can reaffirm our belief. That's why changing our beliefs is so important. We always have to work on them and find ways to change it and expand it. Maybe not change it necessarily, because some beliefs do help us a lot, but expanding them, and that's what usually changes them, because we start understanding where our mistakes are, and then we receive new ideas, better ideas on what that belief actually represents or should represent. And for me it's very encouraging, because it's like passing through the hardest part of my life and seeing that there's a light at the end. Just to summarize about the pineal gland, I received a lot of ideas, a lot of solutions, and a lot of happy thoughts about it, because most of the solutions are just changing your perspective to look at it from a positive perspective. And for me to express those ideas, I had to become a more positive person, and I did, which is funny for me, because I'm usually not a positive person, or I wasn't, because I should tell you now that the change has remained, and I've built more upon that change. And there was always an idea, there was always a solution. The activation of the pineal gland and the work with it really actually showed me a new way of life that is very life expanding, experience expanding, just expanding us as a whole and individually as well. I'm not sure how else to put it. It really changed my perspective in life. In life and life, both. One of the best ideas was about making pancakes for university, and it was kind of a weird idea, because usually when I get up from bed, and if there's time until my classes begin in university, I sit on the computer so that I can do some work. But this time, that morning, it wasn't really a morning, I got up and I knew that I didn't have work on the computer, and I was really a little confused, because what else am I going to do? When I'm at home living with my mother, I just work on the computer. So the next idea or thought was that I should go to the kitchen, and when I got to the kitchen, I didn't know what to do, so I was like, what am I going to do in the kitchen? It's not like there's a lot to do there. But the moment I entered the kitchen, the idea came in that I should make pancakes, and I was like, why should I make pancakes? Okay, so if I'm going to make pancakes, I'm going to make a lot so that I can take to university and share them with my colleagues there. And that was the idea initially, but now the more interesting part was that thanks to my devotion to the idea of sharing the pancakes, I actually managed to make a compound. I'm not sure if that's the right word in English. Let me just check. Mix of the ingredients that allowed me to make around 30 pancakes. And I took them to university, but I knew that those pancakes are too many for just my class and colleagues of students, because we were 12, 13, I think, somewhere around that number. So I decided to share it with the whole university, or at least on the first floor where everybody goes through, so that I can share with everybody that passes by. And some people were so happy, so surprised, so they accepted it so well. I actually loved them for their reactions. They become very open, very happy, and it was actually a fantastic reaction from. And initially I was worried about doing it. I was kind of ashamed to do it, but I decided, Liubo, we're going to do it step by step. You just take them and you just place them on the bureau that's there, the desk, and then you just take them out and then you just offer them to the people around. And that's what I did. I did it step by step. I wasn't thinking any farther than the next step. Like, I went inside, I put them on the desk, I took them out, and I started bringing people that pass by, just so that I can share it with them. And that's it. Some people were really happy. That's what I loved about that idea. And there were a couple of other ideas that helped me, at least, understand that changing your perspective to a more positive one actually helps. Now, in between those 6 months, because it wasn't just 3 months, I became acquainted with Bashar and his ideas and his thoughts. He helped me a lot as well, but we're going to look it up on the next video, because I think that he deserves another video, a separate one. So if you're interested to know how the story continues, subscribe to the channel. You can also click on the bell so that you receive notifications when there's a video that's being uploaded to the channel, and I'll see you next time.